All right, so I'm doing the kind of my journey part of the portfolio. I'm doing it by video as well because we learned how to do that this year, and I like it. So basically what we're supposed to do is look at our 5 core competencies that we talked about and discuss what we learned personally in the classroom and our school placements throughout our second year. And then also kind of go further onto what kind of learning goals and what are our hopes for these 5 core competencies in our third year. So I'll start with planning for learning. This is an area that I kind of feel like I still need a lot of work in. I never have felt like I'm someone who's that strong administratively in the sense of being organized on top and planning of things. I look at, when I look into the future, I think one of my struggles for teaching will be being on top of my lesson planning and having my plan for the semester up to date. I'm a last minute person and I need to improve at that. But some things that I really took away this semester from planning for learning. One thing that in Nadine's education class, the elementary phys ed education class, is we had an article and we had some discussion in a Blackboard about the idea of backwards planning, in the sense that you're looking at your outcomes first and then doing your lesson planning around that. So I look, okay, my curricular outcomes, I want it to be KA1 or whatever, however they're formatted. And I look at that and then I plan my lesson around that, instead of planning a lesson and then being like, okay, and then trying to add competencies or learning outcomes, to it. So that's one thing that's really helpful for me as I look into that. It seems kind of common sense almost, but it just really it struck home in a new way of this concept of figuring out where do I want the kids to be, and then what's my plan to get them there, instead of just kind of doing a day-by-day plan, looking more long-term and saying, okay, I want to have these outcomes done by this time, this outcome done by here, and so I'm going to try and do these at the same time, things like that, and then that should hopefully inform my planning and make it better. Another thing, and I talked about this in my final blog journal, is the stuff that we did with Norm. If you're reading this, hi Norm, or watching this, the planning for learning when we did the inquiry-based project this year in our class. That's something that I see becoming more and more prominent in education, is the concept of inquiry-based learning. And so to be able to do that, that's definitely, I gained a ton of knowledge and experience in how to do that as we walked through it this semester. And so that's definitely something that I'm excited about for when I get into learning. I guess looking ahead into third year, I'm looking forward to getting practical experience in planning for learning, finding out what works, what doesn't work in the classroom. I feel very comfortable in the gym doing things that I feel confident in because I've had experience there. I haven't had a ton of experience in a classroom setting where I have to do a math lesson plan and explain it to kids, and I'm curious to see how much I'm going to have to write down for myself, and things like that. Like, I feel like I'm pretty good at thinking on my feet, but I'm just curious to learn more about how to consistently be doing lesson plans that aren't just individual lesson plans that flow together and things like that. So I'm really looking forward to the practicum, and I guess not just relying on theoretical knowledge, but being able to get some practical experience. Moving on to number 2 is facilitating learning. A big one for this was Calgary Reads. Figuring out in a one-on-one setting how to work with this student to get her and appeal to her learning style and what she needs to help keep her motivated, to help keep her learning, to stretch her and push her without discouraging her, and things like that. And again, that was some really good stuff. Another thing that kind of relates to that is what we did with Jody first semester in the educational individual development class. The stuff on motivation, I think that's key for facilitating learning. I think a big part of being a teacher is inspiring students and helping them be self-motivated, or having an internal locus of control, and having not performance-based goals, but having mastery-based goals, where their goal is learning. And so with that, I think there's just, having the theory and seeing things laid out with, Piaget and Vygotsky and all those guys, and things like the schemata and the assimilation and things like that, leading to through disequilibrium and regaining re-equilibrium. I think that stuff was really good. I noticed in my Calgary Read session second semester that having that language and that theory down made it easier for me to identify some of our issues and some of our motivation things and where we need to go next. And so that was definitely some stuff that was valuable. I feel that I'm good at reading kids and what their needs are, and it's nice to have my own, I guess, schemata that now those files fit under, that I can access that quickly and it makes more sense, and I'm able to, I guess, make some assessments off of that. Yeah, again, third year facilitating learning, I hope I have an opportunity to do an inquiry-based project at some point and be the facilitator instead of the participant, instead of the learner. I'm very curious to see what it's like from that side of things. Finding that balance between helping without giving answers away, and that's stuff that we talked about in the class earlier, Norm, right? The what you see as the pandemic of learning and things like the no perseverance, things like that. And so I'm excited, or I guess I'm excited if I hope I get the opportunity to be a facilitator in an inquiry-based learning project. Moving on to assessing learning, this is another great thing that I learned a lot about this semester, or this year. In my first semester, teaching placement, I was at the Calgary Science School with a phys ed teacher, and it was awesome. The assessment was a big thing that we talked about a lot. Basically what he does is he does video interviews. He has a rubric. He was supposed to send me one, but I'm sure he's busy and I'm not that important, so hey. But he didn't send me a video of it. He was gonna, because they have permission through FOIP and stuff like that, he was gonna send me an actual student video assessment that he did, and it's like with one of his students just randomly. And so he gives them the rubric, they sit down, and they talk on video similar to how I'm talking to you now. It takes 3 minutes or so. And it's just an opportunity, the kids basically self-assess, and he says usually, he says 80-85% of the time they know where they're at and they're bang on, but there's the odd time where he has to have a conversation where a kid thinks he's higher or lower and he has to kind of straighten them out. But they do that, and then he just posts the videos to their site, and parents can access the videos. And so that's what he does during his reporting periods. I love that because it's he assesses. They have however many grades. I think he has 500 kids every semester or trimester or whatever they have. And so based on that, with 500 kids, if you're doing 500 little write-ups on kids and stuff like that, that's a lot of busy work. And so he's kind of bypassed all that. He does video assessments. He puts them up on the blog. It's awesome because it's technology. It's innovative. It's new. But at the same time, it's more personal than just like a written comment. So that's a great thing that I learned, and that I hope to be able to incorporate into my teaching at some point. I love that idea. It's more, I just like how it's more personal than a couple of written comments that kids probably don't even really look at or understand. This way you can go on, watch a 3-minute video, see how your kid's doing, and bingo bangalongo, be ready to move on. I guess for next year, things that I would like to learn more about, or learning goals for me for next year, is learning more about formative assessment. I'm less inclined towards all the testing and stuff that we do, and I understand that that's part of the teaching profession, but I'm more curious in how, especially with younger age groups, this idea of formative assessment, and I think I'm curious to see how that's going to inform how I plan for learning and how I facilitate learning is this. So again, I'm hoping to gain experience, I guess, and maybe in our practicums or maybe in a course, but basically learning how to be effective and efficient in my formative assessment, and basically learning how to take that and then have that inform how I do my planning. So that's what